What does it mean to be called the Cartier-Bresson of the East? Well, Henri Cartier-Bresson was known for his decisive moment phrase referring to how photographs are a combination of the unexpected set against a carefully composed background. A photograph represents the moment in which the photographer has decided that the instance they wish to immortalize has just happened. It is the collision of patience and planning which is what they refer to. Van Gogh earned this title as well as the nickname of the Great Master from his famed work as Asia's most celebrated and beloved photographers, capturing the essence and mood of Hong Kong during the 1950s and 60s. Like Cartier-Bresson, Van Gogh was a photographer of humans, their stories, and wished to convey these stories to others. What made his work so endearing was his love for people, along with the capturing feel of the familiar. He would often photograph merchants, street vendors, children playing, or people commuting to and from work. Where some street photographers would focus on the structure and particular build of a city, Van Gogh focused on the human element, their resilience and hardship, and their moments of joy. Approaching Shadow is possibly Van Gogh's most famous photograph. Taken in 1954, it features his cousin standing against a wall with a long shadow encroaching towards her feet. It would be an image that would follow him throughout his life and one that would best represent his aesthetic. Van Gogh was born in Shanghai in 1931, eventually immigrating to Hong Kong in 1949. He began photographing at a young age after his father left a Kodak Brownie camera at home. This camera, first released in 1900, introduced the world to snapshot photography. It had a simple cardboard box design with a convex concave lens that took 2¼ inch square pictures. Eventually, he moved to a Rolleiflex twin-lens reflex camera that his father gave to him when he was 14 years old. He would use this type of camera throughout his career. In 1949, the People's Republic of China was established on the mainland, seeking rapid industrialization. Amidst this backdrop, Van Gogh took to the streets with his camera to document his new city of Hong Kong from an outsider's perspective. His compositions were masterfully framed, relying on post-production techniques to realize his vision. Techniques like cropping and especially dodging and burning were used to add a cinematic quality to his work. His photos were often shrouded in fog or haze. The scenes liberally used shadows for dramatic effect. When you first look at Approaching Shadow, you'll probably think he waited all day for just the right hour and minute for the city to cast that particular shadow. You might think it was a marvelous moment of happenstance that a woman just happened to be standing in that very spot as this shadow approached her feet. But, in actuality, this was a staged photo. Not even the shadow is real. In photography, there's always discussion about lines. Teachers will tell their students to use leading lines in their compositions, to use sub-framing, to use lines within the scene to draw your attention to where you want the view to focus. In Approaching Shadow, we have 3 lines of particular interest. The horizontal line of the ground provides the stability we like and for something to stand on. The vertical lines keep the subject upright, while the diagonal line darkens one side of the frame, ensuring that the subject is the brightest. Our eye doesn't want to leave the frame but stay on our subject. We also find ourselves wondering if the shadow should be moving away or into the woman against the wall. But in Van Gogh's own words, the diagonal shadow symbolizes her youth fading away, and the subject's introspective gesture goes well with that narrative. This diagonal line really makes the picture, and it was actually added in post-production. Van Gogh would often do things like this. He would go on to make photo montages as well, crafting the final look of his images in the post-production process. Indeed, he was one of the first photographers to utilize skills that would now be referred to as photoshopping. There were basically 2 ways that Van Gogh liked to create his images. The first way was chasing the moment, waiting hours and days for the right time, planning and finally capturing the image he wanted. The second way was crafting the image in post-production. There are many street photographers who would look down on this, saying that it's cheating or not representing the environment the way it really was at the time. But ultimately, artists know what's best for their own final product. There's an idea that's present in every artist's mind, and how to get to that place is truly up to them. The only rule should be that you're not misrepresenting yourself or lying about how the results came to be. Although he was known for his black and white work, he also photographed in color. Much of his most inspired and well-known pieces were done before the age of 30. Eventually, he would move on and get into the film industry, working briefly as an actor and later as a director. After his retirement from cinema, he joined his family in San Jose, California, where they had immigrated to so his children could pursue a college education. But he continued to work, exploring his new environment in the San Francisco area and even dusting off some old slides to show in local galleries. Over the course of his career, he won close to 300 competitions and titles, but remained relatively unknown in the West. A print of Approaching Shadows sold for a record $375,000 in 2015. Following his death from pneumonia at the age of 84, his family set up a website to commemorate his work. Thanks in large part to his trust and their sole representative, Hong Kong's Blue Lotus Gallery, who has facilitated the showcasing of his work to a larger audience, his talent is finally beginning to gain the recognition it thoroughly deserves.